Hey, Carol, you've got to unmute yourself, okay? And Vanessa is there. Hi,
Am I
guys.
okay?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Hi, Carol.
Hello.
I cannot believe I couldn't connect you yesterday. I cannot figure out what happened. I just cannot. It was so frustrating, but I'm so glad you're here this time because, we need you.
Okay, I can't see you, but is that okay?
That's
no,
okay.
that's okay.
That's
That's
fine.
okay. Some people like me just have the audio on, but you can turn your camera on too if you want. That's completely up to you.
Okay, let's see. Choose video settings, I don't know. FaceTime HD camera, is that what I need?
I think so. Yeah.
Zoom would like to access your camera. So I put, okay, hi. Can anybody see me?
Hold on, let me see.
Wait, on.
Let me
I'm
see.
trying to make it so the glare isn't on my glasses so bad, but
And just to let you know, I am recording this, okay?
okay. Hello, Vanessa.
Hello.
Hi, Carol. How are you?
Good, good, thank you.
We have already several people on, Carol. We're going to wait a few more minutes, okay? Because I think more people are going to join.
Okay.
Hi to everybody. I can see Jolette is in and a few more people. Hi to everybody.
Hello.
Hi, Tony.
Hi. You can introduce yourselves if you want to. It's completely up to you. I leave that decision to you, okay?
This is Gay from Kenosha, Wisconsin.
Hi, Kenosha.
Hello.
We're all over the place, us.
Yeah.
I'm in Louisiana, so.
Oh. Must be steamy down there still.
Yeah, it was good, but it's cooling off. So if you hear a bunch of racket, that storm's moving in.
Oh, you guys get some bad storms, that's for sure.
Yeah, at least it waited till I got done cutting grass. Now I have an agreement. I'll cut, you rain when I'm done.
That's good.
So we're just waiting on a few more people. We got 8 in here, and anytime you want to start, Tony, go for it.
Yeah, I'm going to wait maybe for a few more minutes to see if anyone else wants to join. And then I will let Carol just introduce herself.
Okay.
So it's only 7:30 right now. So that's when I said the call would have begun. And being the host, I like to be early for the call. So, yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
That's how we do.
Yep.
Hello, this is Rochelle. I'm here too.
All right. There she is.
I made it.
Rochelle in the house. Yes.
Start till Rochelle walks in. All us ladies are in the house. I don't know if we got any men folks, but as women, there's a lot of women.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what we need right now. We need more women.
We need to
More
return.
women in power. We do. I believe that. We need more women organizers in power. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we outnumber the men.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Carol, would you like to go ahead and just introduce yourself, please?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. some are on audio and some are on video. It's up to the choice
That's
of
right. Yeah.
the caller.
Hello, Carol. This is Ted. I'm on my cell phone.
Hello, brother. Just really appreciate your joining our call. Everyone, this evening, my name is Carol Goodbear, and I am thankful to take a little bit of time and be on this Zoom call. I'm thankful for the Fblv group who has put this call together and scheduled it and has really been helpful by way of working with the Fort Berthold people, and have been helpful with some crucial issues that are facing our tribe. I briefly, again, I just want to say, I am Carol Goodbear. I am from the Shell Creek District. I am a Mandan Hidatsa, and I am honored to be on this call this evening. I understand the group is the land group here that's hosting this. There's a lot of good people in this group, and you work real hard, and you do historical research, legal research. You do many good things to help our people and posture us in a way so that we can protect our sovereignty. And I'm really thankful that I could be a part of this and be included and be invited to have this call this evening. I hope I can answer questions, and I hope I can present my my position on some of the questions you may have. And if there's any other, I just want to also just on a personal note, I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother. I am not really a classic gleaning, polished politician. I come before you all, the people, with a good intention, good heart, and I have some real concerns about our future and for our not only ourselves, our safety, our protection, our land, our air, our water, but for the lifeblood of our existence, which is our future and our children. And I have concerns as a grandmother, as a mother, as a tribal citizen, as a tribal member. I have concerns about our sovereignty, first and foremost. And I stepped forward and submitted my vie for the chairmanship. And I want the honor to serve the MHA Nation, the 3 affiliated tribes, the Mandan, Hidatsa, Saanich people. And I'm asking for your support and your vote September 20th, 2022. And this evening I am honored to be on this call, and I hope I can answer any and all questions with some clarity. And if I cannot answer any questions, I certainly want to be able to get back to you and do some research so I can answer you and have a dialogue with all you folks on this call and a good rapport. So I greet you all with a hearty handshake. I greet you all with good feelings this evening. Thank you, Tony.
Okay, thank you so much, Carol. So I had the first question for you. Okay, as you know, we compiled a list of questions for the candidates, and this is question number 1. Have you read the Constitution of the TAT and the Charter of the TAT?
The Constitution, I have, and short answer, yes. The Treaty of 1851 established our legal sovereign nation-to-nation relationship with the government, federal government. And the Constitution was adopted in 1936. And along with that same election, the Constitution was adopted, there was also initially the IRA. The IRA, Indian Reorganization Act, was adopted in 1932. And our leadership at that time established this Constitution, and there are several amendments to it. So I just want to, in short answer, yes, Tony.
Okie dokie. So next question is, how would you determine the will of the people?
The will of the people.
Yeah, according to how the Constitution, you know, the MHA Constitution talks about it. How do you what is the will of the people to you?
Well, initially, what I'd like to start out with is the will of the people. The different versions of how we can answer that question, in my view, is from time immemorial, the divine creator established people on this earth, and we have our own will, free will. And with respect to this Constitution and the governance that applies today, the will of the people being framed around democracy is the majority of the people. From time immemorial, Native tribes ruled with consensus. When you rule by consensus, it takes a lot of time and patience. In a democracy, the will of the people is the majority of the people expressing how they want to see things be taken care of, how they want to see things done. So in short answer, that's the best way I can succinctly cover that. Tony, are you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I somehow lost connection temporarily. Go ahead. Sorry. Did you hear the question, or did you want me to repeat it?
You asked about the will of the people.
Yeah, if you were elected as chairwoman, would you support a people poll? You know, a people poll on certain issues that have to be, you know, decided on. Would you support that?
Electronic media is a big part of life today. And with all citizens, tribal members subject to mass communication and electronic polls, I think if conducted properly, it would help us document our needs and the desires of our tribal membership. So yes, I would support that. And to me, another good question we could be asking is, how can we take that data, that information, and turn it into action? And that's what I think is key. We've been surveyed, we've been told, we've been asked many, many things from previous to JTAG on how we want things to be as a people. But we need to see action oriented, and demonstrate to the people as leadership, demonstrate to the people that not only are we going to poll you, but we are going to exert our energy to call to action what it is you're asking for. We want to obtain that. We want to arrive at that. We want to meet that goal, to meet your needs.
Right. Is there anyone that wanted to ask any questions about that to Carol?
This is Vanessa, and in regards to that question, do you feel like I do in respect where right now the council is making very pivotal or monumental decisions without the regard of anybody's input, when they have a closed meeting and carry on in a way where our wishes aren't even regarded or questioned. You know, they don't ask us, is it okay to buy land in Las Vegas? Is it okay to, that kind of, where would you conduct yourself in a different way than what's currently driving personally me a little bonkers watching. The way I see it is they're making decisions for everybody, but they don't want us to have a voice in that decision.
So
That's
let me explain your question back to you, and you tell me if I'm accurate. And thank you for asking that.
Mhm.
There's a current structure in place as to how our leadership is operating. Within the confines of that structure, there are there's an avenue in which we can go to our tribal leader and we can ask that this issue be taken direct. So, not to be lengthy in my answer, but traditionally our people, when there was a dilemma and they weren't sure how to proceed with something which you might say is unknown or uncertain, they would throw the question out to the people, and the people would visit among themselves and then would bring back by consensus an answer. So yes, I support that. And right now, just if you look at the way that our government is operating currently, we have that ability. So it is in place. But what technically has to happen is, if I am Jane Blackshaw and you came to me as your council leader and told me I have some concerns and about some land acquisition, and I brought it to the council, and the council would say, this is such a major decision, we want to hear from the people. And so they would initiate procedures, ordinances, they would initiate a poll, they would call for a secretarial election on shall we buy this land or not. Then every tribal member is going to receive a packet from the Bureau of Indian Affairs, and you can vote on that issue. When you mail that back in, then your voice is recorded, your input is recorded. And then because we're in a democracy, that is tallied, and the majority, the answer comes back to the council. The Tribal Business Council then acts or enacts the yay or the nay, the yes or the no. So not that we don't know this stuff, I know you all know this, but I'm just giving you a basic backdrop and framework that yes, I support the will of the people. I believe we have, can take our concerns to our tribal leader currently from our district. And I believe that we have the say and the input on decisions that are monumental, such as a huge purchase of land acquisition in a metropolitan area. But the tribal council currently did not vie for, did not ask the people if this was something that we felt was a priority. So they enacted in our best interest, they feel, and they did the purchase. Does that help answer your question? And I am in favor of not moving in that direction, so to speak, because I want to. When you elect a leader, you elect someone who is going to serve you. So something of those huge monument, those kind of huge moves and such a large expenditure, it should be taken into consideration that, is this good for the will of the people? Is this something that would benefit our people? And then they would do the electronic poll, which is quicker than the secretarial election. So they would get the input, and then they would act on what the results were. But but we elect officials who are supposed to act in our best interest.
Mhm.
But I think what you're bringing up, the example you're bringing up, it has brought on some controversy.
Yeah.
And like many of us out there, I'm not privy to many of the inner workings and dealings and some of the transactions they've done these last 4 years. I'm uninformed, just as some of you are, but that's the best way I can think of to answer that question, and I hope that helps.
Yes, it's very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, moving on to the next question. I'm sorry, did somebody want to speak?
Yeah, this is Joletta.
Yeah, go ahead, Joletta.
Hello, Carol.
Yes, hello.
Yes, good to see you. Carol, I think the question was, would you behave as the current council behaves by not considering the tribal members' opinion about a proposed action they might have? Right now, Carol, I live on Fort Berthold, and we don't know what the council is contemplating, and it's usually after the fact, actually, what happens, but we don't know. We're not given a proposed anything, action that we have input into. So the question is direct. Would you, how would you incorporate tribal members who have the right to participate in governmental decision-making? How would that change when you're in office? We know that the Constitution has tribal referendum, and we know about the secretarial election process. We have, I believe there's a petition that was submitted to the tribal secretary that sits there. They're non-responsive. So I think people are asking, what would change under your administration is what the question was. Thank you.
A lot of information and a lot of this being election, we're all hearing about from the candidates. We're all hearing about this word inclusion. We're told that we're going to be included. So if the current administration has not been behaving by operating under that framework of inclusion, it sounds like they're expressing their intention to change that. And I believe, I'm not a politician, nor am I ever held a public office like this, a tribal role, a councilman, councilwoman office. But I would change that, Joletta. I would offer inclusion in every way, shape, and form that I could. If that's the answer in short to your direct question.
Is there anything you wanted to add, Joletta?
I think it would be helpful to have more specifics of how that would happen. How would that happen? Right now, the majority of the council, I think high-priced decision-making happens in closed sessions. And so that's a process that keeps everyone out of that chain of decision-making. But like I said, we don't even know what is being contemplated, proposed, maybe already signed in an MOU that comes out later in a council meeting. And all of the funds that the tribe expends are collective tribal revenues that belong to every member has a right to know where those monies are going or how they're being proposed to be spent. And I think that's really critical in this election, because we don't have an accounting of where we stand financially, whether it's in the revenue or in debt, sorry. But thank you.
If I can reframe your question, I would just reiterate it back to you, Joletta. You're asking me to demonstrate how I would obtain that goal, which is to have inclusion of the will of the people. Am I correct?
Yes, how would that change from what is happening currently today?
Given the technology that's available to us currently, I think development of a foolproof manner to bring in inclusion from people's point of view. I think just common sense, anything past a certain dollar amount should be routed to specific financial committees, should be specific. It should be like vetted, well vetted, and then it should be given to the people and presented to the people. And people should be allowed in the council meeting, and people should be allowed to be heard and on the agenda. And if there is you mentioned a petition presented to the secretary of the Tribal Business Council, that is that was an invalid action on a part of the tribe, the tribal leadership, if that petition was not heard and handled properly. And this involves like a lot of things, and I don't want to generalize, but I said the other thing that one of the candidates is talking about is ruling by the general council. And they meet once or twice a year, and they might meet in November, and then the meeting ends in March. And they get a lot of business taken care of, and that's where all the tribal membership is involved. And there's avenues like that. The Yakama Nation tribe has that type of government. Smaller tribes like Shakopee has that frame of government where they rule with the people in that manner. And we're 17,000 plus strong. And I think that if the people are for something of that nature, if they're for that, and they want to be in a participatory government in that direct nature, I would support that if that's the will of the people. So that's one way to demonstrate, Joletta, how people are actually going to be participatory. They're going to be actively participating in what's taking place. Does that help answer it a little bit more clearer, or should I elaborate on, by being inclusive, yes, the MHA Nation, will be able to gather together like a base of collective wisdom from all the constituents, and being fair and democratic, they would have a say in much of the business of the tribe. And I hope that helps answer, Joletta, some of what you're asking for clarification on. So it
I'm
involves
sorry, we're going to have to, go into the next question unless Joletta wants to say anything else briefly, please. Okie dokie. So the next question is, all right. Okay, concerning the Las Vegas investments, is it true that the tribe spent 6 million for a box suite at the Allegiant Stadium? And is it true that we own an empty lot near the Allegiant Stadium? Do you know anything about those investments?
I have no background information on that. In my attempts to research that, there's no information provided to me about that. It could very well be true, but I, like every common tribal member, tribal citizen, I am not privy to any information about Las Vegas investments, other than what I've heard from other people. So I'm in the same boat you are on that, Tony.
Okay. All right. And in regard to next question, in regards to accountability, the MHA Nation operates like a corporation, right? So why has there never been an annual report produced? What's your opinion on that?
Well, the leadership is under a tribal business council,
Right. Mm-hmm.
and the word business is in there. And with a lot
Which
of
means that, which could potentially could mean that they could produce an annual report yearly, right?
that's
Which
correct.
kind of, right. Mm-hmm.
That's correct. So some type of annual report, state of the tribe address, just like we have a state of the nation address, some type of report should be forthcoming so that all the tribal membership can have transparency, can see what has taken place within the last with the last fiscal year. And a lot of tribal members, you know, some of us who have land, some of us who have ownership in the tribal land, all tribal members have ownership in the tribal land. Technically, we are all shareholders. So there should be a report to the shareholders. And that has not happened in, I believe, a few years now. So at least I have never heard of one or seen anything. But I believe that needs to take place.
Okay, so going into the, did somebody want to ask any questions about this? No? Okay. Can you still hear me, Carol?
I can.
Okay, so the next question is regarding the conflict of interest. So it should be a conflict of interest to hold a seat on the TBC and own a company which benefits from contracts awards based on Indian preference, Indian-owned Tier 1 status. There must be a review and check set in place to review such business operations. What is your opinion about conflict of interest?
A lot of the training I have received on ethics has to do with a board or a governing board, and similar to what I just mentioned, when they represent shareholders, there's a section of ethics that each board member, tribal council member would uphold. And I think what has taken place is two things. We do have a code of ethics, and it seems to not be strengthened enough. It seems to not be worded quite, maybe on the legal end, strongly enough. And let's say, for instance, it was, then where are we at with enforcement if those sections of the ethics code are violated? And just a general backdrop, if a councilman is sitting on the tribal business council and there is, he runs his own company where he is hauling gravel, and the tribe is re-graveling roads, and then the councilman votes along with other councilmen on the bids for who's going to gravel those roads, and the councilman doesn't recuse himself, but everyone votes on it. I believe that's unethical.
Right. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, somebody is receiving calls. Can you please? That's okay. Yeah, Jovan, you can go ahead. Okay.
Hi, Carol.
Hello.
Hi, my name is Jovan Wagner, and I'm a reporter for Buffalo's Fire, and I'm basically covering the MHA Nation's tribal elections. And I actually just have like maybe one or two general questions for you about your candidacy. First of all, why are you running to lead your tribe? And how do you feel that you are qualified in the most general sense? Thank you.
Thank you, Jovan, for your question. And I just want to make the strong political, I mean, I want to make the strong initial statement here. One of the two things I want to leave you with is balance, Jovan, balance. We must always seek balance. And I believe that I want the honor and the opportunity to serve the Hidatsa, Nuota, Sotnish people. I want the honor to serve them, to bring back balance. I believe that when we're not in balance, we are faltering. And I believe we are putting our future at risk without establishing balance. And I believe also that the land and the people, we are one. So if we are stewards of our homelands, and if we are in a position to protect our water, our air, and our land, those kind of priorities cannot be an afterthought. So this top priority, our responsibility, we're responsible for we're caretakers of our future generations. We're caretakers of our homelands. And in short, Jovan, those are the two things I'd like to leave you with is I believe we need to bring back balance. And I believe with efficiency, with wisdom from the past, this is going to give us the roadmap, the answers, the direction, the insight for the future. I hope that helps answer. And then yes, another part of your question was?
How do you feel that you are best qualified for this position of chairwoman?
Good question, and I love that question. I'm happy to share this with anyone, but if you meet the qualifications, any tribal enrolled citizen from the 3 affiliated tribes is eligible to run for office. You have a right to step forward and vie for a leadership position. Each and every one of us have that right. So as far as being qualified, I know of past leadership where they were caring and kind, they were loving and giving, they were putting elderly and they were putting children, they were putting those that were less fortunate, they were putting people ahead of them. Those were the type of virtuous leadership we have in Indian country. And when I say I seek to bring back balance, the power is with the people. And I believe that the way that I have been moving about in my career, I have the special skill set necessary to help lead and guide our people into future prosperity, future safety and protection for our children. And I believe the matriarch, the power to the matriarch voice in our people, in our tribe, is going to bring back balance. I hope that helps answer your question, Javon.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anyone else that wanted to add to that and ask another question? Okay, then I'm going to continue on about, there's another question about the conflict of interest. Do you know of any TBC members that own companies that are involved in the oil field, production, trucking, etc.? And do you know if these companies provide annual reports?
I'm not aware of the companies who are owned by, did you say tribal members?
No, by the TBC, because this is still in regards to the conflict of interest topic that we were discussing.
I'm not aware of currently what companies, if any, each current tribal council leader owns. I'm not aware of their affiliation with current companies that are operating within our reservation. And therefore, I'm not aware of any annual reports that they are producing. I am not in the know about how they are involved in conducting business, but I do want to say two things. I am in favor of tribal leadership reporting their income and their income streams as a public official. We can share with the people that part of our what we use to make a living, what we use, just to be honest, just to be forthright with the people. And I also believe that if someone was in the position to own a company and it was successful, I think utilizing the temptation to utilize the position of being on the tribal council isn't fair for the other native contractors. And I don't see how fairness can play out. Leadership is about two things. Leadership is about compassion and justice. And other than what I'm hearing, the talk I'm hearing, which I can't confirm because I don't have reports in front of me, annual reports, the tier 1 companies in Taro, I think some of those are technically invalid. They're still a front for other non-Indian companies. And so I think that we should have a more ethical business code. And I think we should really help. I believe in helping end to end, native to native. I believe in helping our tribal members, but I don't believe in helping our tribal members obtain power and position for their company and put the needs or the fairness aside and take advantage of the resources of the 3 affiliated tribes.
Is there anyone that wanted to ask any questions about this?
No, no, this is Vanessa, but I would like your stance on that, Carol.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Okay, so the next question, now changing topic, is about tribal employee accountability. So do you know if there is a performance review process of any kind set in place where you annually evaluate and score tribal employees? And the other part of the question is, what is the average salary of a tribal employee at the MHA Nation?
Thank you for that question, Tony. Those are excellent questions because the main things and goals I have is to establish balance and efficiency and transparency. And in my research to answer these questions, I could not come across any information that could be public and be shared with me about our current human resources department. And in the past, I do know that there were various tests put in place. I've been a tribal member, a tribal employee for well over 17 years. And I do remember having assessments done on productivity. Current past HR directors did do that, but I'm talking maybe 15 years ago. So as far as current, Tony, I cannot answer that I'm aware of any of those things taking place, which leads me to the portion of efficiency. So if you are having some X amount of employees and they annually are reviewed and scored, then you can set benchmarks and you can understand that this group that we have in this department is operating at an 80% productivity level or a 50% productivity level. Trained human resource directors, they understand these tests and these performance evaluations. They understand the scoring. They understand the benchmarks and how to evaluate their workforce. And so with that in mind, as far as the average salary of the workers, having not any information to budgets, I can't answer that about the salaries. But I do want to say one thing, which brings me to this real important point I want to make. I want to thank the tribal employees, all the tribal employees who go to work daily. They go to work and they take care of business. They go to work and they are serving the people. Those tribal members that are there even before they are called to be there, some that stay even later, I want to thank you. There are tribal employees who are very talented, very educated. They are even overqualified in some areas. And they are 20, 30-year veteran employees. And then there are young people who want to learn and they're just hitting the ground running. They got their 4-year degree and they're learning about media, or they're learning about something new in the technology. They're in the technology department. I mean, these young new employees, I want to thank the tribal employees who are doing their job. And I, for one, I appreciate you. You could go anywhere, you can get a good job. You could go anywhere and get better pay, but yet you're home. You're home for your families, some of you. You're home to take care of your people. You're home to take care of your mother, your grandmother. I came home to do that, to take care of my mother who had fallen ill. And so I had to try to make a place to work in I left Washington, DC, and I moved back to Newtown, and I had to find employment so I can help take care of my mother who had fallen ill. So some of you tribal employees, thank you. I commend you. And I know that your skills, your special skills, your resources, your special talents could be utilized in a wonderful way in another capacity out in the metropolitan area. You could be working in the cities, you could be making more money. That is the case with some of the employees. And I thank you.
What about
And
the
then
other
there are some employees who are struggling with addiction. And there are some employees who are struggling with addiction, and I thank you if you step forward and ask for help. I think we should be an employee, a department, I mean, a tribe who helps our employees if they're struggling. So I just want to add that because I do know about those type of employees who are doing well, and they never get a word of thank you. And you know who you are, you pockets of people out there, employees, you know who you are, who have worked there, and some of the tribe don't want to let you go because you're the one that makes things go. You're the one that makes those departments run. And I thank you.
Go to Costco to get my medicine.
Yes, whoever is in the background, could you please mute yourself? Thank you, unless you want to ask a question. Hello?
So as far as your question, the average salary part, I can't answer that either because a lot of us aren't privy to any budgets.
Is there does anyone want to add any questions to this?
It sounds like it's all positive stuff about the employees, but there are employees that are not that positive or that good. Do you notice that, or do you have any knowledge on that at all? Like ghost employees or employees that are there for half the day? You know what I mean?
A lot of things that are coming up, or you might say coming to the surface because it's an election year. And so there's different kind of more information circulating about, I guess you could say, some of the weaknesses that we have taking place within our workforce at the tribe. And I just wanted to touch on that. A lot of things that are happening have a lot to do with the leadership.
I was only 5, but I still think I said, what the hell?
Okay. Kelly, is that your television in the background? Okay. Mm-hmm.
Okay, maybe we could, okay, I wanted to finish. So can you hear me now?
I can. Mm-hmm.
I can still hear that, whatever that background is.
Okay.
Can you call it to me now? I'll try to finish.
Okay, so I have some questions here from Melanie. Melanie, did you want to ask a question? Melanie, you need to unmute yourself if you want to ask a Carol a question.
Can you hear me all right? Hello?
Yeah, I can now. Hi, Melanie.
Okay. Hi, forgive my background noise. I got little ones. But first off, I just wanted to say thank you for running, Carol. It's so wonderful to see so many women stepping forward. And my question this evening is, where will protecting the environment and addressing the climate crisis fall on your list of priorities?
Okay, excellent question, Melanie. Thank you. Can I go back to the other question, Tony? I didn't get to finish that. There was interference from television.
Of course, yeah, of course, yes, please.
Okay, who was the other gal who asked that other question?
That was, pardon me, that was Kelly. Kelly was asking that question. Yeah,
Kelly?
Kelly Fox was asking that question. And then Melanie after that.
Kelly, you asked a question about the ghost employees and such. Kelly?
She muted herself, so.
Okay, well,
No, that was me. That was me, Gay Nordquist. I just
okay.
had a relative work there. And
Sorry
there
about
was a
that. I
lot of-
thought you were Kelly. I apologize.
That's okay. That's okay.
I just wanted to finish and add something, but it got kind of loud and we jumped to another question before I could finish. What I wanted to add is there's political interference with programs. There's political interference with tribal employees. And we're in an all-time low of, I would say, I guess, call it lack of hope. And when we politicize all our directors, when we hire people who are not skilled and have the special skill set to take care of a certain job, you know, this becomes, it puts us in a vulnerable position. I believe once we remove the nepotism, once we remove the favoritism, I believe that we can have a more efficient workforce. Once we apply our own human resource policy handbook, and once we remove tribal leadership from hand-picking and hand-selecting certain jobs, I've worked for the tribe where it took a lot for a director to document many things, and once she brought it in to execute a dismissal, she was called in front of the council, and she had all her paperwork. And after 4 or 5 months of work on all that, and I don't know if any of you know this, but as a director or as a boss, it's very difficult to fire someone. And she was all that work went into nothing. So the person was brought back on board being shown favoritism because of nepotism. And so your word, your policies are not worth the paper they're written on if you cannot follow them. We all know this. I'm not saying something that's new, but I'm just saying that until we have ethical leadership, until we can have balance, until we can speak the truth, even when it hurts, until we can bring back the things that we need in place, which was our core cultural values from our people, we are not going to have things any easier. So we need to step back and pull that all back into place. And it has to start from the top. Your tribal leader has to be ethical and not give, and no offense to the current people in office, but not give lip service to culture, but actually live those core values. Thank you. That was a good question. Okay, Melanie?
And you wanted to also answer Melanie's question, right?
Okay, Melanie, you were asking about the environment? Melanie?
Yeah, you will need to mute yourself, Melanie, please. Melanie? Okay.
Exactly. Keep thinking for yourself and asking questions. I'm so glad that I was able to give you that gift today. You're welcome, little brother. Shall we close out?
Okay, Melanie?
Can you hear me all right? Sorry.
Yeah, well, I can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
My question was, Carol, where will protecting the environment and addressing the climate crisis fall on your list of
Up in
priorities
space.
once you take
Yes.
off?
The space here, but also the space with the
I can't, okay, there's that backdrop, Melanie, is that from you?
Yeah,
No,
no,
it's not for me, but
no.
I did put my question in the chat if that helps.
I can't see that, sorry, I'm kind of new to Zoom, so it's probably there, Mel, but I can't see it. Let me see. But you asked something about the,
So
oh, here we go,
can,
Mel, okay, it says,
Carol, I can actually repeat it for you if you want me to.
no, I can read
So-
it now, thank you, Tony.
Okay,
Where will protecting the environment and addressing the climate crisis fall on your list of priorities? I think it has to be immediate, Melanie. Human resources, our people, our priority. We're down to saving lives due to the drug opioid epidemic. And another part is our environment, Melanie. And as far as the air, the land, and the water, we have experts who can help us and just strengthen our ordinance and our code. And we, as a tribe, with the will of the people, have to want to improve in every area with our flaring and with all the things that have taken place since 2008 forward. We have, I believe, good help who are going to guide us. And we can bring that in and we can do the best we can for remediation. And that means a lot. That's going to take a lot. So
Okay.
I'm prepared to make that one of the top priorities, Melanie.
Can I ask a question on
Yes.
that? Okay, this is Joletta. I'm very glad to hear that that will be a priority once you step into office. In 2019, we brought before the Energy Committee 5 requests on air quality. That was our first focus. And after a lengthy discussion with the Energy Committee, they voted 5 motions unanimous to support air quality permanent monitoring on Fort Berthold, which we do not have, and the creation of a tribal TAT air quality standard and capacity building for the TAT environmental department. We also asked our tribe to support NEPA, the National Environmental Policy Act. At that time, it was under revision or the threat of reduction. So the work has been there and it's at the Energy Committee. So I really support you picking that up and taking it to full council where it belongs. It was unanimously voted upon at the energy level by 4 council members. A committee usually has 3 council, but 1 came to support. So 4 people out of 7 is almost a majority. It just takes 1 more. But thank you so much.
If I might add to that, thank you, Joletta, for that backdrop and that important information. You know, with the maximizing the tribe's sovereignty is what we would do by enforcement of our own tribal regulatory authority. Remediation now. We're into remediation. We're into trying to remediate and restore back some better quality air. And with water, there's several components with that. But that is going to take some EIS, some EIA, so that we can posture the tribe for like, what is the next best move? Yes, there are many, many things we're going to have to do, but right here and right now, right today, what can we do? And then just move forward from there. I think one of our own tribal members, Joanne K. Chase, is working with the environmental protection agency currently out of Denver. And so we have wonderful tribal experts, and we have wonderful people that can, that are really qualified to help us. And as far as the climate change, just running back to you, Melanie, there's so many things about that if we can discuss further on that, I would love to visit with you on that more at length. But I just want to say about the climate changes, you know, our people, our cultural people, we are unique in our position as stewards of the land. And we have wonderful cultural ways that were handed down to us about the air, the land, and the water. We have a relationship with them. And when I say restore balance, when I say culture and mean it, those core values, I mean, there's some fascinating things happening, Melanie, on a national level and international level with the climate change in respects to Indigenous people and their cultural beliefs. So I just want to make mention of that, and maybe we can visit more on that too with more time. Thank you.
I would love to visit with you more, Carol. Thank you so much for prioritizing that. I completely agree. Indigenous knowledge is the key to our future.
Yes.
Okay. I have another question that is regarding ethics. Ethics and conflict of interest. I'm sorry that I have a list here, and sorry about this. There it is. Okay. So what is your view of ethics and conflict of interest? For example, if when elected, you encountered a situation that involved unethical business dealings with anyone in office, okay, how would you handle that situation? Would you report it? Would you step down or recuse yourself in business dealings that includes yourself, your family, or otherwise, so as to avoid a conflict of interest? I can repeat the question if you want me to, by the way.
I have it here, and thank you, Tony. I have it here, and I'm reading it too, so I'm okay. Okay, so ethics. Let me just say at the outset that ethics begins at home. It begins from your first teachers, which is your mother, your father, your grandmother, your grandfather. Ethics, don't lie, don't cheat, don't steal. Those are cultural. Don't take anything that isn't yours. And when you look at what's taking place as far as conflict of interest, we fast forward here now to 2022, and we're speaking of your question. It references elected officials encountering unethical business dealings. And your question is, how would I handle that situation? And then it goes on, you said, would you report? Would you step down? Would you recuse? As I mentioned earlier, ethics is taught in the home, and that carries over into your professional life. So the kind of leadership that we came from had virtue. And being virtuous, you would not take from your people. You would not put yourself in a position where you're going to harm anything or harm anyone. And so in dealing with this overall gist of this question, if I might just put it all together, would you report? I'm assuming you mean, would you report some ethics violation? And the answer would be yes. Would you step down? I believe what you might be referencing, and correct me if I'm wrong, is if as a leader you're in that position and there's been some mark on your business dealings, would you step down or would you recuse yourself? Those two together mean that I believe currently tribal leadership is not recusing themselves when they're in there voting on something that's affecting their indirect or direct business dealings, they're wanting to make sure they're postured to benefit. So in other words, they're not avoiding conflict of interest. And my view of all of this is it's wrong. It's wrong what is taking place to be doing all of this. And we are so far moving fast forward, it's almost like it's, I was told when our land was leased for cheap, for pennies on the dollar, I was told that that's just the way the oil business works. The oil industry is like the most egregious, one of the most egregious industries, and exploiting all of us, the business dealing part of it, exploiting the people, exploiting the land is wrong. And my grandmother, 83 years old, she's not here with us any longer, bless her heart, may her soul rest in peace. But she said, granddaughter, I don't have to read a newspaper. I don't have to watch a television news show. I can sum it up in one word, and it's called greed. She used the word greed. So when you're referencing ethics here, I'm just giving you a big general statement, Tony, in my response. And I'm just, trying not to be complicated or complex, but I just want to give a general overview because I'm addressing many people, and some of us are more astute in certain areas. Sea of Alaska has a really sharp, real strict code of ethics for their board of directors. Different corporations do that. There's such a thing going on as corporate social responsibility. I mean, there's many things about tribes who are moving fast forward into that and operate very ethically. And I want to see that for 3 affiliated tribes. I want to see that for MHA Nation. I want to see that in the future where they say those people turned everything to the good. Those people are to be exemplary in business. They have uniform, they have business commercial codes. They have their own tribal chamber of commerce. They compete locally, nationally, and internationally. I mean, I would like to see something wonderful like that in the future, because we have little children right here and grandchildren who can't speak for themselves. And we need to stand up and speak for them and conduct business in a fair manner. I'm just saying fairness. Leadership is about compassion and justice. Justice means fairness. Thank you, Tony.
Is there anything that anyone wants to add to that?
I completely agree with what you just said, Carol. This is Vanessa.
Thank you.
Really, you're hitting all the bases, girl. Keep it going.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so the next question is, you already touched on this. So the tribal governments work in cooperation with the EPA to achieve status as states in setting their tribal water quality standards. The Mandan Hidatsa Rikara have cultural ties to the waters of the Missouri River, which you were talking about too. How will you move this tribal government to reconnect to the significance of water and create a TAT water quality standards, not copy minimal federal or state standards?
First of all, I just want to thank you for that question too, Tony. if I might reiterate it back to you, the important part that jumped out at me initially from this question was Mandan, Hidatsa, Sotanish people and our cultural tie to the water. And renewing our significance of water. And then you add it, create quality standards. We have federal partners. Yes, the EPA. We also have what Melanie referenced, which was succinctly worded, which was the indigenous knowledge. We also have people all over the world, third world countries, whose quality of water isn't even drinkable, but yet they have to utilize that water. And then we have an ample amount of water with the lake and with oil companies taking that water out and just initially, from what I understand historically, and anybody correct me if you think I am not on the right page here, but what has happened with our water, succinctly, I can say that the Mandan, Hidatsa, Sotanish people have been generous. Everyone is taking from that water. And those of us who have the strongest rights, who have the most powerful position or postured, we have the water rights. And for there again, greed to step in and different ones wanting to sell the water, different ones wanting the tribe to be postured to sell it so that allottees can't sell it, and different ones that, you know, I'm not representing that position where I'm an allottee. I am a landowner. I am an heir to allotted lands, but I'm not positioning and advocating for myself, or I don't have a water business, but I'm just saying that there again, back to fairness. You know, one of the things I have to touch on is I was so moved by was I heard from tribal leadership that they were going to protect our water rights. I heard they were going to, water was more important than oil. That's what I heard. And I heard that that was going to be a priority. And we were going to exert our sovereignty. We were going to strengthen our position on water rights. So just the backdrop of that, not to dwell on that too much, but quite frankly, we are not in that position today. And we've lost a lot of ground because our leadership, I believe, didn't stand up for us in that regard. And as far as water quality standards, with different pipelines going on, there's nothing in place with that's going to protect our drinking water, the water that from our wells, our artesian wells. And I believe it was 2 years ago, 8 horses in the district where I'm from, Shell Creek, 8 horses died. And there was no, an autopsy was done, but they weren't sure if it was the water. There was nothing, no conclusion made as to why those 8 horses died. Cattle were dying. So as far as TAT water quality standards, there is something wrong for our livestock to be dying. And I believe that we can get experts in to help us. You know, those of us who aren't trained about water quality, we can bring in, you know, find out where we're at, assess where we're at, and then try and set the goal about where we want to be, which is we want water, we want drinking water, we want our water to be safe. So in answer to your question in short, and sorry to elaborate so much on the first part, which is our historical position, our indigenous knowledge connected with water. But I just think that reconnecting to the significance of water is totally possible. And I think creating our own quality water standards is also doable. And I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
Joletta, go ahead.
Yeah, this is this is Joletta. I had that's my question I had submitted earlier to another candidate, and the focus is on what are you going to do as a tribal candidate in office to protect the water. Tribes have already across the country have established tribal water quality standards for their tribe, and they work in cooperation with the EPA. They have a good working relationship with EPA. And those tribes even help other tribes as they're pursuing their endeavors. So our tribe doesn't even have we have an environmental department, but I think it is so under capacity. And that was one of the requests we took to the Energy Committee, was for our tribe to build the capacity of our environmental department so we can test our air and our water, so we can hire hydrologists and chemists and biologists and all of the science degreed and experienced people that we need. That's what we need. And so is that something that you're willing and committed to find in the budget and appropriate it? So you do the thinking for them, because they won't. They're going to avoid the issue. But that sends a message to the younger people who are in college. Your education means something to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Joletta. The water quality standards and my commitment to the improvement is very, very strong. And I want to see that kind of help bring that in. I believe we have some environmental department workers who are really struggling, because I use this example. If you need an architect or an engineer, but you're hiring a layman who can, as a carpenter, you're not going to get the work you need. And so, no offense to some of the lack of training of some of these employees in these various departments, but we do need to bring in the experts. And yes, finding money in the budget for that. I need your help, all of you. I need your help to exert the will of the people. And if it's the will of the people that we have quality drinking water, I'm going to need you to all weigh in on that. I can't go in and be against and outvoted. Some of these basic things we're asking for, we may have to call national attention to. We may have to call outside help in, because of a lot of what's taking place in our tribe. And when someone doesn't follow these ordinances, when we enforce our tribal regulatory authority and exert our sovereignty, yet we have a company violating that, it's difficult. Yet we're going to have to hold them accountable. And those tribal members who are owning water companies who are part of violating, we're going to have to hold them accountable. And a lot of what's happening in general in our tribal council with white collar crime, we're going to need a criminal code. A lot of these things with our monies, we can't flounder it away and be careless. A priority for our air, our land, and water has to come from the people. I can voice your concerns and I can bring in strong forces to help us. But I'm going to need the people too, the experts, and not recreating the wheel, And those kind of things that Joletta is mentioning, like she is well versed on, all that is in place and doable. Thank you, Joletta, for those really good comments about all of it, and just making it understandable too for the layman like myself, not knowing about quantifying water rights and not knowing about a lot of the good things you mentioned with the air and the water and the specialists we're going to need. But yes, thank you, Joletta. And in short, I want to do exactly that. I want to see budget money put aside, and I want to see change in that area immediately.
Thank you. Those motions that were passed are still stand at the tribe. So it's February, I think, 26, 2019. And that's the Energy Committee. And what we actually need is an environmental committee. That's what we're in need of. But we had no place to go but to the Energy Committee because of a lack of an environmental. But thank you.
Okay, thank you.
We have, I'm sorry, Carol, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, I was just coughing a little bit. Okay.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. We only have time for one last question. Okay. And this, again, it goes back to the water issue that you were talking about. So if you were elected, will you ensure that the handling of the frac process water is sustainable, processed not to harm the environment? So since a lot of frac water is not environmentally friendly, how would you fix that?
Well, I just have to go back to the professionals and the people who can help us in that area. Me not being, that's not my training in that area. I would have to go back to what the environmental department, even what she was saying was creating an environmental committee, but going back to getting the experts too. Make sure those that those type of waters are handled safely and hauled away safely, disposed of safely, so as not to keep bringing harm.
Right. Mm-hmm. Is there anyone else that wanted to add anything to what Carol said?
I have a question, but the frac water is loaded with radioactivity. It's not something that can be diluted, and it is very harmful and very toxic. And that's the reason why this tribe is in dire need of a water quality code to protect our water, just to protect our water. I do have one question though, but it's not on the environment, but I'll wait if you're going to call for more questions.
Joletta, if you have another question, you can ask another question too. We've got about 5 minutes left, so you can go ahead. Yep.
I'll speak quickly. I live here on Fort Berthold on in Mandaree. I can vote. Many of the people on this telephone call or event cannot vote because they live off of the reservation. In 1986, their rights were protected in our Constitution and they could vote. I was one of them. I lived off the reservation and I enjoyed the privilege of voting from my residence out of Fort Berthold. Do you support the restoration of the right to vote of every eligible enrolled member who is at least 18 years of age? Thank you.
Thank you for that question. I support the will of the people, and if it's the will of the people that take place, then I am in support of it. In my earlier statements, in some of the presentations I made, a part of the matter of off-reservation voting, I had mentioned that we need a fair and democratic voting process, and it should be developed in a foolproof manner so that all eligible tribal members have the right to vote. So by being inclusive, I believe the MHA Nation will be stronger based on collective wisdom of voters. And if this is the will of the people, that's what I would be elected to do, is to serve the people. So it's such an important issue. And like I said, I think there's technology that can be in place to help see that there is not any fraud when this happens. I think back in '86 there was some issues about why the voters off the reservation and why it got changed. And so I hope that answers your question, and thank you for asking that important question, Joletta.
Yes, thank you. Would you, how do you define the will of the people of 11,000 eligible voters who reside off of Fort Berthold right now? How do you determine that will of the people when there is a constant request to be included in that democratic process? Thank you.
Another good part to this question. Thank you for asking that. You know, the will of the people in this particular, with respect to this issue, you know, I am all for balancing interest. So we have a group of people who may be voicing concern about it and wanting change and wanting to have off-reservation voting take place. And then maybe we have a group of people who feel differently about it and are opposed to it. Well, to me, it's a matter of balancing the interests, and we are in a democracy, and the majority will reign.
I
I know that
appreciate that
Diana,
question.
I'm sorry, Diana, is that you, Diana?
No, I was just gonna mention, I appreciate that question because there's gonna be 8 of us coming from Wisconsin and Chicago to vote, and that's quite a ways to go to put our vote in. And that's just the primary.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I
I know Diana was going to ask, I'm sorry, Gillette, I know Diana wanted to ask a question too. Go ahead, Diana, you need to unmute yourself, please. Diana?
Hello, this is Deanna.
Hi, Diana.
Hi, I'm tuning in from Shakopee, Minnesota. And I'm just, I was just saying that the water and our air and our land is of utmost importance for our children and our grandchildren and our future generations. Without it, we have nothing. And also being from Shakopee, or living in Shakopee, and my children live in out of state as well. We need to figure out a way for us to vote because I may not be able to make it back on September 20th. So some way, somehow, we need to figure out how we can participate in this election process. And so absentee voting or some sort of outreach to us needs to be made available. And it's of utmost importance because I'm 66 years old now and I may not be able to drive back and vote, you know, either in September or November. So something really needs to be done with that. But that's my only comment.
If I might respond to that, Tony, very briefly.
Oh, yes, of course. Go ahead.
Thank you, Deanna, for your concerns on the water, the land, and the air, and the quality of that being utmost important for our children and our grandchildren. And I totally agree. It's utmost importance for our future generations. And thank you for your voicing out your concerns about the ability. It's getting difficult for people to come back and vote. And I can appreciate your concerns on that. As I had mentioned, that I am for the will of the people. And if it's the will of the people, then I believe that we will have to change how we can help better accommodate those who are feeling disenfranchised, was the word used, about not being able to come back and vote. So, and I also just want to add that I'd referenced in there that the importance of, I guess, the will of the people, you know, is a big part of the buzzwords for the this election. And I just wanted to share with the group here on this call. I'd saved some things from past elections. And 4 years ago, there was a pamphlet from our current chairman, and on there it said, "Will establish off-reservation voting." So 4 years went by and that was not established from your current leader. So I just want to add that it was on his campaign materials. So I intend to address that immediately.
You know, Fblv actually fought to have off-reservation voting ballots reinstated, and we gathered up enough signatures to get that done, and we sent that document to the TBC, and this was about 4 years ago. They voted against it, and we took them to court, and of course, you know, it didn't go in our favor, but it happened during this one administration. Yeah.
Tony?
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but when you have a petition and you get that much, you garnish that much support for it, I believe it should have moved into a secretarial election. Am I incorrect in thinking that?
Right. Yeah.
And instead that was denied.
Right. That was denied. Right.
So if you take that and you take it to, now I'm just talking about processes here, so I don't want to waste time with that. But I think that if you took it and bypassed the council and took it directly to the Department of Interior, BIA, and Aberdeen, then that would get that would have gotten heard. I mean, it would have gotten accepted. It would have gotten acted upon by the BIA, or you needed the council's high sign or approval.
That is not exactly what happened. Yeah, it was not. The BIA did not act on that. They went along with what the TBC actually decided to do, which was to vote against it.
Say, can I interject something here?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Joletta.
Yes. If there ever was an instance of the will of the people, that petition serves that purpose.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of the council saying yes or no to it when they've reached their threshold. That's the will of the people that you're talking about. And it's been denied by our tribal government that's supposedly based on a democratic government. So that need of the will of the people has already been presented. Thank you.
If I may add to that, Joletta, and tell me if I'm not understanding this correctly. If that was the will of the people and the Department of Interior, BIA from Aberdeen denied that petition, I believe that wasn't right on their part.
Right.
The work was done to get the petition. The work was done to get enough signatures. I believe that the Tribal Business Council isn't postured to stop that. The Bureau should have took that and moved with a secretarial election.
Yeah,
and
it didn't.
Yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Joletta.
Yes, and in your position as the chair, what would you do to further along that process?
Well, I would hold the Department of Interior, I would hold them accountable for taking care of their trust responsibilities, which was to see fit that that petition was to move into secretarial election.
And would you do that?
Yes, I would.
Thank you.
That's what they're there for. So I agree that that should have been done, and that wasn't handled right. If you're explaining it the way you just did. Thank you, Joletta.
Yeah, that's what happened. I don't know if Diana, did you want to ask another question? You will need to unmute yourself.
No, I don't have any further questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. No problem. Is there anyone else that wanted to add anything to what Carol said before we go?
I would like to.
Hi there. Yes.
Hi.
Who is this?
This is Geneva.
Hi, Geneva.
Carol, I really liked a lot of your viewpoints, and I really think that you have a strong, especially in the millennials, you'd have, you're kind of like the Bernie Sanders for our tribe, if I could say that. But how are you going to reach them during this campaign? You know, I feel like Scott has a lot of social media right now, because that's kind of what millennials and Gen Z are doing right now. Like, the direction you want to take us, the vision that you have, I really feel that it needs to be heard. And I was wondering, what are your plans to get that out to the rest of us, especially the people living here in Arizona, in Chicago, the West Coast, California, New Mexico, there are a lot of tribal members here that don't have the ability to go to Mandaree and listen to you, or we don't even know, because nobody's posting that.
Good question.
Geneva, this is Tony. I just wanted to answer this question just partially, in the sense that this conference call is recorded and it will be posted on Facebook. So I'm going to turn this call, when it finishes, into a YouTube video, and then I will post it on Facebook. The Fblv group has got 300 members, but I'm going to post it elsewhere too, so that more people can actually listen to Carol, as a candidate for chairmanship. You can go ahead, Carol. Sorry, I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, Tony. Geneva, thank you for that question. And I have to be real. I have to be real direct about how I need your help. I need help in how to reach the millennials. I do have Facebook. I can post YouTube videos. If that would help. Any suggestions you have, please email me, please inbox me. Please give me any direction. Sounds like you're young and in that age group. So please, feel free to start a dialogue with me and help me get word out there. And I sure appreciate your question. Thank you.
Okie dokie. Anyone else that just wanted to add any more comments? Geneva, you can unmute yourself.
No, that was it. Thank you.
And also, I just want to tell everyone my email is very basic. It's just all lowercase, all one word, carolgoodbear@gmail.com.
That's good.
Can I ask a question, Tony?
Of course, yes, go ahead.
Hi, my name is JK. I'd like to ask a question. I don't need an immediate answer now, but in the next few days, I would like to, see this on your social media, or see this somewhere where you're representing your platform. I'd like to know how you plan to address the needs of off-reservation members. I'm currently based in Juneau, Alaska, which is a long way from, Fort Berthold. I don't receive any oil royalties. The only thing I receive is the periodic disbursements that all MHA members receive, and a $25 gift card, courtesy of Mark Fox in November. And it costs over $2,000 for me to return home for each time, that I vote. They got satellite offices in Bismarck. They got satellite offices in Mesa, but that doesn't do anything, for me here in Alaska. I I kind of want to know, what your thoughts are as far as, providing services to off-reservation members who, do feel disenfranchised. I'm not saying that they are more important than those who live, on Fort Berthold, but, it would be nice if there were services that, were catered to us that we could take advantage of.
Good question.
Again, I don't need an immediate answer right now, but it's something that I'd like to hear from you in the very near future as far as, your platform or what your thoughts are on that. Thank you.
Good question. And let's start a dialogue with that, JK. And you have my email, and I want to hear from the off-reservation voters who how do they want to be served? What would help meet their needs? Let's start a dialogue about that. And thank you for that question. And yes, we'll be in contact with each other. Appreciate it.
Jovan, did you want to ask one more question?
Hi, yeah, not so much a question, but Carol, I would really appreciate it if we could set up a time in this next week or a couple days for an interview with Buffalo's Fire. But I will be emailing you with those details shortly.
Okay, that sounds really good. Thank you, Jovan.
Okie dokie, I think this is all we had time for tonight. Carol, I'm going to leave you the last word. Is there anything else you wanted to say to the group?
I humbly ask for your vote on September 20th, 2022. And I want to promise you one thing, and that is my patience, my love, my understanding. And I promise you that as a mother, as a grandmother, I want to see change, and my heart is sincere. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Well, thank you so much, guys. Anyone wanted to add any more comments? I'm going to be closing the call otherwise.
Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Carol, and all the callers that called in. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Yeah,
Jaletta.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. Bye, Carol.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good